Hello, sir. So this is our roll call. This is where we have our briefing, where everybody meets together. Our supervisors, our sergeant and lieutenant, will tell us things that happened on a previous shift, information to pass along. They also give us updates on information from other agencies that we need to be aware of, lookouts for wanted subjects, missing persons, people with dementia, other pertinent information that may help us with our jobs. All right. Let's go. So typically we go out into different parts of the community, apartment complexes, duplexes, where people are congregating, even shopping centers, just to try to get out and talk to people, ask them what's going on, how they're doing, what's going on in their lives, let them know that we're here for them, and build relationships. So you never know what's going to happen today, so I don't want to be properly prepared for it. The county has really improved over time. I remember when I first started in 2002, there's only one or two places that you could get gas, and since then we've partnered with Quarles, Universal, and so there's like 7 different gas stations countywide where we can get gas. So if we get very busy and we're going back and forth and we've got to refuel, we've got places throughout the county. We don't have to come all the way up here, so it's a convenient, but it's also strategic. So I'm plugging in my radar unit. It's what we do to measure other cars' speeds. Obviously, traffic enforcement is a big deal for any law enforcement agency. We're trying to slow people down because we've unfortunately had fatality accidents in our county, and most of them are contributed to speed, so that's why we enforce it so vigorously. So part of what I'm doing now is the tuning fork test, which it calibrates the radar unit and makes sure that it's operational within its limits. There we go. Tuning forks are tuned to a certain particular speed. If you know your one tuning fork is measured for 65 miles an hour and you strike it and put it in front of the antenna, you should be getting a reading of 65 miles an hour. And the same with the 35 mile per hour tuning fork, that when you strike it, put in front of the antenna, it should give you that reading. So that's how we know that. That's just one of the things that we do to make sure it's accurate. Then we also do a patrol speed speedometer verification when we're going down the road. I'm looking at my speedometer and the radar unit to make sure they're within allowable tolerances. I have a rather unique journey in law enforcement. I have started in 1996 in Prince George County and was a police officer for 3.5 years. I went to Colonial Heights Police Department in 1999 and was there for 2.5 years. So I've always wanted to work for the Hanover Sheriff's Office, born and raised here, went to school here. So in 2002, the opportunity came to come to the Sheriff's Office through a lateral entry program, and was here for 12 years. And then in 2014, the Lord called us to Alabama. And me and my wife sold our house, quit our jobs, moved to Alabama to attend ministry school, and was in Alabama for 9 years. Roll Tide. And then my parent had a medical emergency in 2023, required us to move back, and called the sheriff and asked him if I could come back. And he was so gracious to allow me to do so. So came back at the age of 50 after being gone for 9 years. Went to the police academy at age 50, not quite as fast as I was when I went through it at 23. My passion for law enforcement has never left. So something I've wanted to do since I was in college 30 years ago. Happy to be back. We are headed to my old beat in Old Church area. And before we go there, though, we have to be properly caffeinated. I'm a firm believer that God made caffeine for policemen so that we can be alert. It's probably one of the biggest qualities a law enforcement officer needs, is to be alert and watchful and aware. And so caffeine, at least for me, helps me do that. I think you saw on roll call, everybody has their favorite brand, obviously within reason. You don't want to just crush energy drink after energy drink. That's not healthy, but you're drinking water and you're properly hydrated. That energy, caffeine boost, that really helps. Just going to run her license plate, see if she's shown that she has expired tags. 930, it's expired. Be doing a traffic stop on this vehicle for expired tags. Usually when you see a vehicle that has expired tags, we have the capability of verifying that they're expired first. So I just activated my body cam. I want to call in a traffic stop. 275 to 38. Now we just have to make sure that we've got a safe spot for the driver and us.
On this call, change it to a slide on LA.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Deputy Wilson with Hanover Sheriff's Office. Man, the reason why I pulled you over is you have expired license plates. By chance, is this your car?
This is mine.
Okay, if I could see your license and registration, please. Yeah, DMV is saying that your license expired in November.
My license?
License plate?
Oh, my plate.
Yes, ma'am.
November.
Have you, September. You have September 2025 stickers?
I haven't received anything though.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you moved?
Huh?
Have you moved?
Yeah.
You did move?
Yeah.
Did you notify DMV of your, that you,
Not yet.
that's why you haven't received anything?
Okay.
So, all right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check your license. As long as your license is valid, I'm going to let you go with a warning. I'll be right back with you. Okay?
I'll get that taken care of.
Yes, ma'am. If you just remain in the vehicle, please. All right. So we pulled over for an expired license plate. This driver had moved and didn't notify DMV, so she's not received anything from DMV. Notified them her license were about to expire and a chance to renew them. So I'm just going to check her license, make sure she's not wanted. She's not. I'm just going to issue her a warning and send her on her way. All right, if you show me your registration on your top right-hand corner right there where it says it expired.
Okay.
So we're going to let you go with the warning. Just make sure you contact DMV and get it taken care of.
Could I get this changed online or do I have to go in person?
I'm not sure, but you could probably call and find out.
Okay, thank you.
You're free to go? All right, so I told her how to resolve her issue. I want to make sure that she gets off safely. 275, 10-8 warning. So just observe the vehicle. It has an expired state inspection. So going to make sure I get into a place where we can pull it over safely. 275 to 38.
275.
Walnut Grove Road, Mechanicsville, Little League, Virginia. So we always call in our traffic stops before we activate our emergency equipment. We try to dictate to the driver where to pull in. Activate our body cam. Turn on your portable radio. Make sure he comes to a stop and doesn't try to take off on you. Hey, I'm Deputy Wilson, Hanover Sheriff's Officer. The reason why I stopped you have an expired state inspection. Yeah. By chance, is this your car?
Yes, sir. This is my car.
Okay.
My mother owns it, though.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there anything wrong with the car? Brakes, tires, steering?
No, I think the reason it's not inspected is because last time they failed me on my headlights.
Okay.
Because it was, I have LEDs.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if I could see your license and registration. How old are you, sir? 19. All right.
1410 hours.
All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check your license. As long as your license is valid, I'm going to let you go with a warning. I'll be right back with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
50, go ahead.
So he's driving his mother's car, and her mother has an expired inspection, and it's her primary vehicle. So I typically don't issue a summons to a driver who's driving somebody else's car with an expired inspection. It's a non-moving violation. Be surprised how many times we stop vehicles for expired registration or expired inspection, and the drivers are actually suspended or they're actually wanted. I cannot tell you how many times that's happened, but not this time. He is good to go. So let him go with a warning. You're free to go. I do want to let you know that every day that this vehicle is driving on the highway of Virginia, you can be stopped and ticketed every single day, and it doesn't, for the inspection, it doesn't have to be your mom driving it. Another officer could stop you and issue a summons, so just make sure you get it done as soon as you can.
Yes, sir.
You're free to go, sir. Have a good day. So if you ever see a law enforcement officer pulled over into a parking lot, and people are like, what is he doing? Is he watching YouTube? The answer is no. Basically, we document everything we've done. So I've had 2 different traffic stops in the last 20 minutes, and we have a community policing form that we complete after each traffic stop to capture all the information with the stop. Every traffic stop that I record, it's tabulating to see if there's any type of profiling off of any type of age or any type of race or any other category. And it's also more than accountability. It also helps you prove what you're doing is correct, that I'm not out here to stop anybody for any other reason than a lawful traffic violation or some type of suspicious criminal activity. So this vehicle has an expired state inspection. Now the driver's already looking at me in the rear view mirror. 275, 1038.
75 West.
Route 1, southbound, just south of Ashland, Virginia. 275 vehicle stopped on Cobb's Lane. Hey, how you doing? Deputy Wilson with Hanover Sheriff's Office. The reason why I stopped you is an expired state inspection. By chance, is this your car?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, did you realize it was expired?
Yeah, I do. I bought it a little while back, and I've been trying to fix it so I can get it inspected. If you want to, like, you can go kick the muffler and it swings real bad.
I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. Okay. Well, if I could see your license and registration, please. See, expired inspection, proper brake light. Is your license valid?
Should be.
Okay. Well, let me check your license and I'll be right back with you, okay? I'm going to let you go with a warning. I do want to let you know that every day that you drive the vehicle beyond today is a separate violation, or even today. You mean you could get back on Route 1, another officer could stop you and write you the summons. It's something you get stopped and ticketed for every single day until you get it done.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go with a warning since you've already had your tickets.
Okay.
Did I give you your tickets back?
Yeah, I can left box.
All right, you're free to go.
Thank you.
All right, she had just been stopped not too long ago by another officer and issued a summons for it, so try to cut her some slack. She's quite cooperative as a minor violation. So we're responding to a call for an attempted suicide. A patient who has threatened suicide before and has taken pills before is taking too many pills, and she's calling seeking assistance. We have officers that are very close. We're a little bit further away, but we still want to go to see if we can provide assistance. Once we arrive on scene, we're trying to determine, was this a legitimate threat or was it an attention seeking? But each time, we still take them seriously. Obviously, life is precious, even when someone's at rock bottom. So when I first started law enforcement in '96,
Shoot me out of the impound lot.
we didn't have a lot of mental health calls. It was rare, maybe once a month, once every other month. Now, here 30 years later, it is frequent. It is a daily occurrence. And mental health is a massive issue in our society, in our culture, that we deal with on a regular basis. And just wish there was more we could do to help them. How do people get to that point? That's a good question. So just because somebody's called and reported that somebody's taking pills, we actually have to determine if they actually took pills. A lot of times we get information that we have to corroborate to make sure it actually did happen before we take our next step. So depending on whether the person actually took the pills, we have to get them immediate medical attention. But we also want to determine what kind of pills did they take, how many did they take, did anybody actually see this, are these prescribed, has she done this before? We're trying to get all this type of information to make a good decision, but we definitely need, if someone has taken pills, we've got to take them to the hospital.
231.
VA, that 171 is on with 13 that about an hour ago.
All right, I'll go figure out what's happening.
Born in 2024, 20 years old, so she took some depression medication, took half the bottle, not a brand new bottle, but she took half of the bottle she has. When EMS said when they got here, she opened the door for them
every
and
other.
let them in and volunteered everything. So I'm going to ask her if she's willing to go voluntarily. She's already inside EMS, inside of the ambulance right now. I told him hold on so I can ask her about any mental health questions and see if we had the ECU or she's gonna go voluntarily. Yeah, I'll just do a quick overdose report because she admitted to just taking half the bottle. I'll just do a quick narrative on that, and then I'll put in there that I asked her about her mental health and see if she wanted to go voluntarily or involuntarily to the hospital.
Hey, I was just trying to do something other than traffic stops, and I thought I was pretty far away, but he's like, yeah, let's go to it, see what we can. So
yeah.
I just
got here pretty fast and hooked her up. I was asking questions on the way to the gurney. So
yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna ask her these questions. I think she's gonna go voluntarily anyway.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Looks like she didn't take as many pills as was reported, which is why we always have to go and investigate, and that's a good thing. And that she's seeking voluntary treatment. Which means she can go to the hospital of her choice, and there's some very good local hospitals that can offer her treatment to assist her. So she's going to go voluntarily. That's the best case scenario for us because people that are going voluntarily have the better chance of getting out of the crisis that they're in versus somebody that's caught in some type of cycle where we have to involuntarily take them into custody to seek treatment. Those usually take longer to get out of whatever cycle they're in that put them in this position. So that's best case scenario for us. And then you always think back, all right, what's going on through this person's life at 21 years old that has caused her to spiral to this point. So they're going to take her to the hospital and help her get the help that she needs. Excuse me.